I met a man here recently. He's in studio. His name is David Lee. David, welcome to SoCal Live.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. This is going to be a little strange for people, but you're kind of recognized as the number one Ferrari collector in the whole world. Is that right?
That's right.
And so you have more than one Ferrari?
Yeah, about 30.
You have 30 Ferraris?
Yes.
Why do you need 30 Ferraris?
You know, they just went overboard, you know, but they've been good investment. I love it, and they're great machineries, and
oh my goodness,
really passionate about it.
I couldn't afford the insurance on those cars. But you have a ministry called Christ in Cars, and that's why I brought you on. And I want to talk. I've got a lot of things to talk to you about, but you lead a ministry. You're a businessman.
Yes.
Successful businessman.
Yes.
You want to tell people where you made your money?
Well, you know, what made my money is that the Lord blessed me. But besides that, I guess I have retail jewelry stores, I have real estate companies, I have investment companies.
And how did you get involved in all that stuff?
Yeah, the last 30 years, you know, that the Lord has showed me these opportunities, and I said yes, and He blessed me.
Yeah, and you live in the San Gabriel Valley?
I live in San Gabriel Valley.
For how long?
Since 1999.
And you're a believer?
Yes, I'm a true believer.
And how did you become a Christian? I kind of want you to tell your story.
Sure.
How you got saved.
Yeah, I was saved. Like many people, you know, just walking in the mall and somebody scared me to death. Like, hey, you going to hell? I said, oh no, I don't want to go to hell. Okay, then you better believe in Jesus. Okay.
That happened to you?
That really happened to me.
You were in a mall?
You know, there's some guy was just scaring the heck out of all the kids. And anyways, but then since then, you know, I went to church and everything. But you know, I went to Christian high school. But I really went strong for the Lord when I met with my wife at that time, as you know, my girlfriend. And then we really in college time started to take the Lord really serious.
What college you go to?
The USC.
USC?
Yeah,
I'm a Bruin guy.
Oh, my wife is a UCLA Bruin too, so we have a house divided.
More than I love you, I'll tell you that right now. You know, God can forgive any sin.
Yeah.
You know that?
Okay. Thank goodness.
Yeah, He can forgive any sin. USC stuff. So this ministry you have, did you say 40 Ferraris?
That are, you know, you mean that participate?
No. You personally?
No, I personally have. Yeah, I have 30 Ferraris.
30.
Yeah,
so are you gonna like try to get another one?
Well, I'm in this program. It all keeps coming. You know, this year I'll probably have 5 more coming.
Okay.
You know, so yeah.
I don't even want to ask where you store all this stuff.
Yeah.
But out of this, you're a successful businessman, and you're a believer, and you wanted to do something with your passion, which is collecting these cars. Mm-hmm. And you want to do something with Jesus, so you started this ministry. Right.
So you know, when you have these cars, just naturally, you know, you drive it to car shows, you know, and you do stuff with it. And so I've been going to a lot of car shows in the past, and it's fun, but it's very superficial, right? And you know, you go to the different areas all over SoCal. We have such a rich car culture here in Southern California.
Yes.
One time I met with my kind of co-founder, my brother in Christ, Alex Everett, and you know, he's a strong Christian as well. And he goes, we should really somehow incorporate our love for cars and Jesus, together. So we're rolling it over for a little bit, and 6 months later, I reached out to him again. I said, what if we did something like this, Christ in Cars? So where we incorporate where the love of cars, because car guys are car guys, and we love cars, and it doesn't have to be Ferrari, it could be any cars, any kind of cars. But we show up, we go for a drive, and what if the cool thing is we end up, instead of at a parking lot somewhere or wherever, we end up at a church. And then we go to church, we have a nice car show kind of at the church parking lot. We go in for service, and then we really hear the word of God, and then we go to lunch. And so we started this last year, and it really was well received. It wasn't only Christians, it was people that were interested or exploring, want to know more about Christianity. They were welcome, and they came, and they loved it. And this whole community had formed. And now we have, even within our group, 150 people.
You have 150 people. Like, is this on like a mailing list of people?
Yeah. So,
and do they all kind of have exotic cars?
No, they don't all have exotic cars. Some it could be American cars, some could be Japanese, Some could be European. So it's all kinds of cars. Could be expensive.
That's exotic to me. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what exotic car is.
It doesn't have to be Lamborghini, McLaren, and Porsches or things like that, Ferraris. But it could be just something special about it. And car
like
guys
a Ford Explorer.
No, they're not a Ford Explorer, but they've tricked it out. If they tricked it out,
yeah,
it would be something special. So not like the run of the mill, something special. And car guys know what that is.
Yeah.
And they would bring it to car show. So.
So your thought is, instead of going into like I see them all the time in LA, sometimes they're on Friday night, sometimes they're on a Saturday night, where they go to some parking lot and they just all have their cars there, and these people show up and walk through. And your idea was to let's do that, but let's do it at a church, and take the owners of the cars and get them inside a church. And so what churches have you gone to?
So we've gone to Saddleback Church. We've gone to Lake Avenue Church in Pasadena. We've gone to certainly Shepherd on the Hill, a church that you know very well.
Did you go to Harvest too?
We haven't gone to Harvest, but we're scheduled.
You're scheduled to go there.
Scheduled to go this year, yeah. So we do about 4 times a year these official ones, and we want to do it where it's bigger, and certainly a big church. We would need a big church to could handle kind of the capacity. Because last time we had 100 people. We had a lot of people going to your church at that one time too. So we certainly need a big church with a lot of resources to kind of handle, and the parking lot to handle it. And so this year, for February 19th, we are also having a drive with your theme. I think it's Built Faith Tough.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let me explain. We do a sermon series, like most churches, and we're doing a series based on our whole year's off is called Audacious Faith, because I feel like as a culture, as a church, we went from being people of faith. When COVID hit, we kind of became people who are fearful. We went from being people of faith to people who are fearful. Then we went into a stage called laziness. We kind of got used to watching online, and we were no longer afraid, but we just quit going to church and quit serving. And so my goal is to get people back being people of faith.
Sure.
So there's a Ford commercial called Built Ford Tough, where these trucks go over these rocks, and it's called "We Built This Truck to Be Built Ford Tough." Built Ford Tough. We're doing a play on that. We're doing Built Faith Tough, and we're looking at different ways that God stretches our faith. And in the midst of that, we're going to have, on February 19th, we're going to have some Ford trucks and Ford vehicles there, just to kind of go along with the series. And you've chosen to bring these cars at Shepherd Church on that day.
Yes. I'm going to drive my Ford GT, my new Ford GT.
Okay. Tell us what that car's like.
So it's it's a Ford, but it's the car that was back in the 60s that actually beat Ferrari in the Le Mans. And so it's very famous, it's very fast, and very, very much of a hyper car, very high performance car. And very
how rare
edition.
is it? How rare is it?
It's about it's a 1,300 production of this limited edition, and the one I have, which is the carbon fiber series, is only 100 within that 1,300. So it's a limited within limited. But I'm going to drive that. I'm going to drive it to your church.
Okay. And there's going to be another 50, 60 of these types of cars there.
Yeah, different kinds
of cars. And anybody can come look at them.
Anybody can come look at. Anybody can join too. If here you're in the radio and you hear this, you say, I like cars and I like to drive and I like to go to church. Then you can join us. Because
how would they get a hold of you?
Well, go to our website, christandcars.org. In there, they're going to have our events lined up. They're going to have information that you can input so that we have that information. We can contact you and tell you where we're going to meet and all the itinerary and everything. So just go to christandcars.org, and of course we're on Instagram and all that too. Just Christ in Cars it's a Christian car club, and it's and people really love it because it's deeper. There's more meaning, and we care for each other. So we even have a Bible study, and we
you have an online Bible study, right?
Online Bible study.
Anybody
can join. Yeah, the doors are open to everybody. And so we hope that you listeners that are listening, if you love cars and you want to check it out, just join us and have fun. And your church is great. You're going to have a great sermon, I know. And of course, Galpin, that has the cars with you, stationed there. He's a Christian. We work with him too and stuff. So it's going to be just a great group of people.
Here's what I like about this, David. It's a passion of yours, and everybody has different passions. They have different things they like. Some people like to sew. That's what they do, is they sew. Some people like to go bowling. Some people like to garden. You like these cars, and God has blessed you, right? You firmly believe that it's because God's blessed you.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard work. You've worked hard your whole life, but you have the favor of God. I mean, God's blessed you, right?
Right.
So the idea is that regardless whether you're a gardener, a bowler, a cyclist, maybe you're a Harley guy, whatever you are, whatever your passion is, you got to figure out how to use that for the glory of God.
Right.
And you have developed this club, you and Alex together, to try to get these guys that have these cars, to get them in church. This is the greatest thing ever.
You know, and not only that too, Pastor Dudley, is that this developed to not only going to church. I mean, it started out as going that, but these guys, as we've come together, we've done stuff too. We went to what is it? The Union Rescue Mission. We together fed the homeless together.
Okay, hold that thought. We're going to come back and talk about Christ in Cars going to the rescue mission downtown. We're going to talk about that right after this break. You're listening to Tuesday's edition of SoCal Live. It's Pastor Dudley Rutherford filling in for Scott Furrow today at KKLA in San Diego and Los Angeles. And what a great day we've had. Currently we're talking to David Lee, who is recognized as the #1 Ferrari collector in the world. He's got over 30 Ferraris or something like that. But he leads a ministry called Christ in Cars and lives here in Glendale, not too far from the studio. And I wanted to ask you, I forgot earlier to ask you just your thoughts on the shooting right down here in Monterey Park, just not too far.
Yeah, no, it's really sad. One of my businesses in San Gabriel's, the next city is Monterey Park. My mom lives in Monterey Park, matter of fact. And so this really hits close to home. Matter of fact, the governor, Gavin Newsom, was there yesterday. He came and visited me, and he asked me what I thought about it. I think it's terrible. It's a really terrible thing. But in knowing the situation on this particular, it was a crime of passion. What was, and the Bible says about that, your tongue is like a two-edged sword. And it's so deadly, you can use it for good, to build people up, and you can use it for deadly to break somebody down or to instruct somebody to do something very bad. And in this case, apparently, that's what happened.
And just the tragedy of the people. There was a mass shooting here, and there was one up in Northern California the next day.
Half Moon Bay. It's terrible. These things seem to be happening all the time. Like every day you hear.
Did you talk to your mom?
I did talk to my mom. And matter of fact,
was she at the festival at all?
She was not, luckily, but her friend, whom came with her to my, to my business, and we were talking. She is actually a regular at that dancing school. She just didn't go because she had a dinner.
Wow.
But if she went, she would have been a victim too.
Well, our hearts and prayers go out to everyone.
Thank you.
Who suffered in some way, and I know the whole city was suffering there. But David, you run this ministry, you and a guy named Alex, called Christ in Cars.
Right.
We were talking about this before the break. And you get guys that have these expensive cars and have a love for cars. They're not necessarily, they're all believers. They're just some are Christians, but some aren't.
Yes.
And you put a little mailing list together, and 3 or 4 times a year, you get everybody together and you go through the canyons, you do a little route, little loop.
Right.
And the reason I know some of this is because I used to have a motorcycle, and we had a motorcycle club. And same thing, we would put out a list, whoever wants to go. We'd have 30, 40 guys show up on Harleys and different kinds of motorcycles, and we'd have a loop. And sometimes we would end up back at church. One year we went to the baptisms at the beach. The whole group went out, and they weren't all Christians. And that's my word of encouragement. I know we have this event coming up at Shepherd Church, February 19th, that everybody's welcome to come and look at the cars. But you're bringing these guys into church.
Yes.
And some of these guys probably never been to church.
No.
This is like their first time to go to church.
No,
they like hanging out with the club, and then you bring them into church. Have you got any pushback from some of these guys at all? Or are they're like, because I got to say this, if I feel like if I can just get someone inside the church, their life will be changed because they're going to meet Jesus. They think it's going to be boring. They think it's going to be dry. But once they actually get in church, it affects their life, and that door is open for them to receive Jesus.
Well, you're totally right. I'm so honored that they would trust me and Alex, that we have a good intent for them, right? We have this event. It's good enough. They knew we didn't put a wool over their eye. They knew they were going to church. But say, it's going to be a nice drive to the canyons, and we end up at the first time we did a Saddleback, and we went to Saddleback and went in, and of course Rick spoke, and we knew that he was going to be good. A lot of people like him, and people, nobody left early. They went there the whole time, and they get out, and we went to lunch, and it was all very positive feeling. Because I think, like I said, it was a breath of fresh air. Sorry, because a lot of the cars, there's an underlying competition. There's underlying jealousy, envy, just very superficial. And although it's fun, you see a lot of cars. There's a lot of that for the car owners. But in this thing, there's none of that. We're just trying to share about what life is about, and who Jesus is, who God is.
Yeah. Do guys show off their cars? Is it a show off thing, or is it more just an appreciation?
You mean in the regular car shows?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's both. There's both of those.
Yeah. I know car guys, and they're a different breed. You guys are a different breed.
Yeah, it's different.
You've been on the Jay Leno show. He's got that show with the garage.
Yeah, Jay Leno's garage. I've been on 11 times.
11 times.
Yeah, with my Ferrari.
And what's he like?
He's a great guy. He's a really down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable because he used to be a mechanic.
Okay.
He drives his car just like I do. That's why we get along so well. He drives his car, no matter how expensive. He drives it. I remember one time he came to my car show when I was doing it in my plaza in Walnut. He came with his McLaren F1, which was $20 million. And a kid, came over and said, hey, Mr. Leno, can I sit in there? And he just, okay, go ahead, sit in there.
David, I want you to put him on the mailing list. Invite him to this next car event.
Okay, I will.
I want to see that guy sitting in church.
Well, Dallas Raines is a Christian, and he's coming.
Oh, good.
The weatherman, Dallas Raines.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming.
He never ages. That guy never ages.
I know, he's amazing.
So anyway, one of the reasons I want to have you on here is just because I think this is an interesting thing, but to really encourage people, whatever their gifts are, whatever their passions are, to figure out a way to use that to the glory of God. And I think I know this for a fact. At our church, we do have a sewing club, basically, women who like to sew.
Yeah.
But they meet on a regular basis. They sew blankets, and then they take those blankets and give them to people in nursing homes, and they give them to people in the hospitals, and they pray over the blankets. Their gift is sewing. Like I can't sew on a button, but they're good at sewing. Right. That's their passion. Yours is cars. Theirs is sewing. You're two different things. Sure. Opposite. Sewing, cars. But God doesn't care. God put that passion in you, I believe. I think God gives us these different gifts. But these ladies that sew, I don't think there's any guys in there, but maybe there are. They pray over the blankets that whoever is wrapped up in this blanket will receive the love and the understanding and grace of Almighty God. What a powerful ministry. Mm-hmm. We have at our church, we have cycling clubs where guys who like to ride bicycles. I like road cycling. We have mountain bike club. We have road clubs. We've got surf clubs. We got every club because I think we need to use all these gifts and talents to the glory of God and do whatever we can do to bring people to the throne of grace. And you get these guys and they actually come to church and sit in there.
And not only that, that's just the beginning caveat. We've done together once they just, they have this trust and they have this community built. We did toy drives, we collected over 1,000 toys that we gave to the various nonprofits, and certainly Union Rescue Mission for all the families they have there. We've come together and we served a Thanksgiving meal. Mm-hmm. We raised some money to support them. And these guys with these exotic cars are going down to Skid Row and just serving the homeless there. And it's just good for their soul.
They've never done anything like that.
Never done anything like that. So this kind of led them to, it's beyond going to church. Beyond going to an online Bible study Monday night. Beyond that, we have a chat that we always talk in, and everybody's encouraging each other and praying for each other. And and all that stuff that you do. But then we go out and right now we're embarking on, because there's a lady that got her car taken away and she really needs a car. We're raising money to buy her a car to use. So all these things that are showing love your neighbor, which is of course one of the 10 Commandments, and that to show the love of Jesus. And it's amazing for me. I first told you, yes, there was a passion for cars that started this, but now my passion is to see people grow close to Jesus and see people want to show love to their neighbors. That's what gets me really fired up now.
David, I've seen this a million times in people's lives where they have the cars, or they have the money, or they got the girls, they got the drugs. They think these things satisfy, but they ultimately leave you empty inside. There's no eternal satisfaction there. But you get a guy who, you're a businessman, so you relate to business guys. Business guys relate to you.
Yep.
If I was a singer, I would relate to people who like music.
Sure.
If I was an author, I would relate to people who write books and read books. But God made you to be a businessman. That's that ability came from God.
Yes.
And I think some people think we should all be poor. Some people think we should all be rich. No, God has called each of you to be who He wants you to be. But again, you're using that gift to help these guys actually get inside a church and hear a sermon. And I think that once they get in there, the first thing that's like any visitor, they see all these people gathered and they're all worshiping. They go, what in the world is this? But they see people who are truly worshiping. Then they hear the message, and they hear about Jesus, and then they find that the spiritual is what satisfies the longing of the heart.
Right.
And that's what you're doing with this certain segment of our city.
Well, Pastor Dudley, just on that front, like I said, God has blessed me to be a big manager of his worldly possessions. In the world's eyes, I'm a successful businessman, and I've seen I know a lot of successful billionaires and all that. And I can tell you that without God, without that aspect, they're so empty. They feel so always like a hole in the heart that they want to fulfill, and more money is not going to do it. More material, cars or jewelries or watches doesn't do it.
Yeah, and I'm just so glad you're doing this, because they won't listen to me necessarily, but they look up to you, and you're, the Bible says, to whom much has been given, much has been required. And I'm thankful that you're a steward of all that God has given to you. Talking to David Lee, I'm so thankful that he came in studio today. Runs this ministry called Christ in Cars. You can find that on social media at christ.and.cars, or just go Christ in Cars and you'll find it. Yep. He also has a web page called Ferrari Collector _David Lee. Ferrari Collector _David Lee. You can reach out to him there. And David, thank you for coming and joining me in studio today. Want to encourage everyone to get to church this weekend. Keep your eyes on Jesus. He'll never leave you or forsake you. Thank you for joining us today. You've been listening to Tuesday's edition of SoCal Live.